Hello, class. So today, this presentation will be about space exploration, things you didn't know about space, and things that came from space. So when NASA trying to get to the moon, not only did they build rockets, but they also built technology that people on Earth can use. So an example of this, things you didn't know about space. So the United States beat Russia at landing on the moon as a peaceful Cold War strategy. America's NASA putting the first moon person on the moon turned Russia's aerospace industry to peaceful endeavors. So by landing on the moon, this officially dismantled Russia's nuclear rocket program. It also ended officially the Cold War. So Russia losing validated them into entering Western democracy, and winning the space race exerted US dominance over other countries, not just Russia, like Germany and whatnot. So algorithms for Hubble Space Telescope imaging processing also improved medical image processing. A telescope seeing distant things is similar to a microscope seeing tiny things. So improved resolution from a distance led to higher resolution of tiny things in the body. Cancer or other cellular abnormalities can be seen with density color coding and depth scanning of cells. Keep in mind this is not an X-ray. So as you can see, like this could be color coded, like some cells are pink, some are blue because they're more dense, and this is like a vein with inflammation, and the more constricted parts of it are more blue, and less constricted are more pink. So like this color coding not only colorizes the stars, but also colorizes cells. So when you see colored stars, it might just be the result of this technology, and they may not actually be green, blue, or red. So sunglasses that you see in the movies, they came from space advisors. So NASA was the first one to actually use sunglasses. Astronauts needed protection from too much UV light entering their corneas. Given astronauts needed transparent helmet to see the moon they were standing on, they needed a glass window that also did not fracture easily, so it needed to be additionally scratch resistant. Because human eyes needed protection from the sun on Earth, as with anywhere in the solar system, not just the moon, but also on Earth, sunglasses with UV coating came to fruition. So, like, if astronauts think it's useful, then humans on Earth think it's useful. So, things that happen to the body in space. So, the previous section talked about spin-offs, which are marketable products that came from NASA's innovations. The next section will deal with, like, the dangers of being in outer space. So, space radiation damages DNA. Space missions occur outside of Earth's protective magnetic field. So there's nothing up there to deflect cosmic rays. So if you're on Earth, there's a stronger magnetic field, as you can see here. And magnetic fields are known to disrupt radiation waves, especially if they're polarized. So astronauts in a 6-month ISS mission are exposed to 40 times the annual dose of radiation on Earth due to cosmic rays. So they are more likely to get cancer, actually, as an astronaut. The radiation causes damage to telomeres at the ends of DNA strands, causing them to shorten, leading to aging, and also they may not live as long just because of radiation alone. So the total blood volume decreases in space. In a weightless environment, blood no longer crowds your body. Because gravity, it points down. It creates like a downward gradient where the most highest gradient will be in your lower feet area, and as it goes up, it'll be like less extreme pressure. So blood, because there's no longer gravity, now more equally populates the body, resulting in more blood in the cranium than there should be. So the brain is basically flooded in blood than what it's accustomed to. The body perceives this as excessive blood flow, so sodium levels are increased, leading to increased urination. The hypothalamus segment of the brain tells the astronaut to drink less, so they like get rid of more blood. They also get and take less fluid, so it's overall consume less fluid altogether, and the blood flow just goes down. So kidneys ultimately reduce the volume of blood to reduce pressure in the head, because honestly, the pressure is more dangerous than not enough blood, as according to the kidneys logic. So astronauts are more likely to get kidney stones Bone osteocytes are produced in proportion to the gravity field they need to push against. For example, astronauts on Jupiter would get stronger leg bones, or on the Moon with a weaker gravity, they get weaker leg bones. When astronauts are weightless, bone is reabsorbed due to the lack of pushing down, and excess calcium is secreted into the bloodstream. The calcium accumulates in the kidneys and forms kidney stones. So dispelling myths about space. So this next section is going to talk about commonly believed myths about space, which I'm going to tell you are not true. So myths. Sound waves in the movie Star Wars were possible. The reality is they're not. So sound is caused by rarefaction of air waves on Earth. Since there's no air in space, sound vibrations cannot propagate, so you won't hear lasers or explosions like in Star Wars. However, you can still see light from the stars because light does not need airwaves to propagate, even though sound does. So light doesn't need a medium to propagate, so that's why you can still see light from the sun at night and other stars when it's darker out. So as you can see, like from this picture, from compression, so the airwaves decelerate when they're compressed and accelerate when they're decompressed. So this acceleration and deceleration of airwaves is what ultimately makes sound, and without something oscillating like that, you won't perceive anything. But light operates on a different principle. It doesn't accelerate or decelerate. It goes at constant velocity, so you can see it no matter where you are or what medium it travels through. So another myth, the second myth is NASA is super expensive, but the reality is NASA only gets 0.5% of the federal budget. So for every tax dollar, only half a penny goes to NASA. So if you were to cut into a dollar, it won't even reach the ink of the first of the edge of the dollar bill. That's how little they're receiving from tax. That's like 1/200th of your tax, which is basically nothing. Astronauts often find themselves underpaid, so roughly 160 grand every year, which is low considering the risks they take. NASA has had a return on investment of 300% for the initial 25 billion given to them since their inception. So they're extremely profitable. Since 1960, they quadrupled their profit to about 100 billion. That is maybe 1% of the total money on Earth, just in NASA alone. So people complain that NASA spend their money on Earth instead of space, or they should do that. They should spend it on Earth instead of space. But every dollar NASA spends is, in fact, on Earth to build rockets. There's no such thing as spending money in space. Like in order to build a rocket, it has to be done on Earth. So every single tax dollar, or every dollar in general, is done on Earth. You can't spend money in outer space. So the final myth, and this is the slide I'm ending on. Earth is the only planet in the universe that can support life. Well, the universe is so big that there's an exact replica. The permutation that made Earth is replicated. If it's that big enough, at least one permutation exists, the exact combination of atoms to make the exact copy of the Earth. So not only is there life, there's an exact copy of this planet because the universe is so big. So in reality, there's been found numerous planets in the observable universe that have water and even an atmosphere similar to Earth. Kepler 452b is known as Earth's cousin due to its similarities to Earth. It is located 1,402 light-years away from us in the constellation Cygnus. Life is primitive and may not take as many unlikely events to be created as you may believe. Astrobiologists point to requiring oxygen to regenerate cell mass and regenerate energy, but other more common gases like hydrogen can substitute. So instead of carbon-based and oxygen-based life forms, you have hydrogen-based life forms because how common of an element hydrogen is. It's the simplest and most smallest element. So life may not always occur the way you think it does. It could occur in other forms. So you may not think there's life on Mars, but there could be life on Mars, just a different form of life on Mars. So here are the references, and thank you very much.